Beach Surf Shop, you can find surfboards, you can find anything, you name it, for a nice Caribbean vacation. Best way to go there is located on, let's do this segment again because this microphone just cut out. I think the battery died, so.
I am the voice of Long Beach. Halftime, Howie. Welcome to another edition of Broadcasting on the Beach with Halftime Howie, as we come to you on a taping where the day has not been too nice outside, but everyone and their passion has made it here. And we're going to start with a very interesting segment. We did part one last week, and today it's part two, George to the Rescue. It's going to appear on NBC on November 4th at 10 a.m. and also at 7 p.m. And the family that was rescued was the Byrne family. And let's meet Tara. And Tara, talk about what the whole experience was like for you and your family, and the fact that a big part of it was making the house better for your son, JJ, who's got cystic fibrosis.
Sure. Hi. Well, let me just start by saying that it's very overwhelming and humbling to have people reach out to you and think that your child is, wonderful like you do. So that's one thing I wanted to say. And George to the Rescue reached out to us. The producer reached out to us. He actually saw an article that our local paper, the Herald, wrote on him, and they reached out to us and they did a series of interviews, and we didn't know if we were going to get picked. And one day we thought that they had told us that there was going to be a producer, the last producer, come to the show and see if we were going to be picked, and it was actually George to the Rescue. So we were thrilled because we needed a new kitchen desperately. And as life goes on, we decided to go on a vacation one year instead of doing our kitchen, and then one year we decided to send our son to hockey camp, so we just never got around to doing our kitchen. So we were so happy that they contacted us and they reached out to JJ.
That's great. We're wearing these shirts, Team Shenanigans,
Right.
And let's have the story behind that, because I believe that's a real part of what JJ is all about.
Right. So after Hurricane Sandy, pretty much Island Park was devastated, and a few people from Island Park, actually it was somebody from Mangano, arranged to have a bus with people in neighboring towns. There was somebody from East Rockaway, Island Park, and we all went to the Capitol to see them pass the Sandy bill. So we all took the bus, and before we got on the bus, there were politicians there, and they asked JJ to come up to the podium, and JJ's response was, let's stop the political shenanigans and let's get the Sandy Act, moving and passed so we can get relief for our town. And that's where it stuck. So he named his team Team Shenanigans.
That's awesome. And Bonnie, you're involved as part of the team that worked at the Byrne household. What was that whole process experience like?
It was a wonderful experience. I really enjoyed meeting Tara. She was the first member of the family that I met when I came to the house to measure for the laundry room, which is just adjacent to the kitchen. So although the kitchen was the main part of the project, you couldn't do the kitchen and then have this opening to the laundry and pantry area and have it remain in that condition. So Rose, Ott, and Frank asked me to help out and do a renovation in there. So we were able to build some new cabinets and make it a really enjoyable place to be, to do an important thing, which is laundry, right?
Yes.
And not have to stare at a an unattractive and ill defined space. So it was wonderful to work with Tara. I completely enjoyed meeting JJ. He's such an enthusiastic kid. And John and Kieran, your other son, just wonderful people. It was just a pleasure and an honor to be a part of it.
Now, Tara, we happen to have a former school teacher in the audience, Joe Satriano. And And let's say Joe was your professor at school, and he said to you, Tara, your assignment this semester is to write an essay on what your son JJ is all about and what he's meant to you. In an overview, what would that essay be all about? Tell us all about JJ and what makes him a special kid, and also how he's dealt with his adversity in his life.
Well, John is 17 years of age. My son John has cystic fibrosis. And one of his goals in his life is to find a cure for cystic fibrosis. So he works very hard at raising funds, hence Team Shenanigans. We do fundraisers, we sell t-shirts, we do the walk. And one of his other purposes is to bring awareness to cystic fibrosis. Cystic fibrosis is a disease that only affects 30,000 Americans. And it's definitely, and there's no government funding. So all the funding that is raised for cystic fibrosis, it goes directly to the family. So that's something that is very dear to his heart. John is definitely someone who he loves his town, he loves Island Park, he loves school, he has big plans, he wants to be in politics, he wants to be a lawyer. We're currently looking at colleges. He's won many awards. He's won the Make a Difference Award from the town of Hempstead. He's won the Unsung Hero Award from the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation. He's won the Irma Tice Award from the Business and Residential Chamber. JJ puts himself out there. He loves our town. He volunteers. He works at the beach. He volunteers at our local church. He's a lector. He's someone that really thinks that he's going to make a difference. He really thinks that when he wants to be mayor of Island Park, and I honestly believe that that'll happen one day. And you know, he's a great guy. He's a rule follower. He doesn't go out of the box, and he has a plan. You know, JJ has a different mindset than everybody else because JJ doesn't know what his future holds. So what he does is he has a lot planned, and he wants to get so much accomplished because like I said, he doesn't know what his future holds. He's sick. He has cystic fibrosis, so he goes out there and he does whatever he can, you know, to check off things on his bucket list. And he's a great kid. We love him. He's a good boy. He's a good boy.
I've heard so many things that he's such an exceptional young man. He's actually the assistant to the mayor of Island Park.
Yes, I forgot to say
16-year-old boy is the assistant.
He's 17 now.
17. He's assistant to the mayor of Island Park. Yet, having cystic fibrosis, talk about on a weekly basis what you have to deal with as far as JJ being healthy and monitoring his health and making sure he's not in certain situations. So talk about all the things that as a family you've had to deal with.
Well, you know, of course, we have hospital stays when he's not feeling well. You know, we're fortunate enough to be, his doctor is at Winthrop, so Winthrop is deemed a cystic fibrosis center. So a lot of the things that they would do in the hospital, they could do at the CS center if he needs to have an IV, or if he needs to go for a suction, or if he needs to, you know, have his medication tweaked. They can do a lot of it in the CF center. If not, he has to go to the hospital. Just, you know, hospital stays, lots of doctor visits, lots of trips back and forth to Winthrop to see his doctor. Like, for instance, today he wasn't feeling well. He tested positive for an infection. So we made the choice not to have him come tonight because he does have a little bit of a cold, and, you know, he's so susceptible to everything that we kept him home. You know, medication, treatments every day. He does a mechanical vest that, you know, shakes his chest to break up the mucus. Nebulizer treatments, enzymes, antibiotics, steroids, you know, doctor's visits. It's, you know, luckily he hasn't been in the hospital about a year, but, you know, winter's always the worst, so we just have to be careful. And he doesn't want anyone to feel sorry for him. He doesn't like that. He doesn't like when people feel sorry for him. He'd rather have someone ask him what cystic fibrosis is and explain it to them, because he does not like anyone to feel bad for him. Because he's just like everybody else. We brought him up just like everybody else. You know, we told him that he could do whatever anybody else does, you know? And that's exactly how he takes his everyday life. He does what he does. He's got, you know, a lot on his plate, but he does it. And another thing, and I know this might sound crazy, but he doesn't really know anything else. It's just what he's always had to do. So, you know, that kind of makes us feel better in a little bit of a way, because it's just what he's always done. You know, it's always been his routine and what he has to do, and he knows what he has to do to stay healthy.
And I mentioned to you before, you know, obviously he's not here tonight, but we'd love to give him a role in our show. Because I just feel that he's been such an inspiration to so many people. To give him this platform, he could reach and inspire so many people. So, you know, moving forward, we'd love to have him involved in our show, because I think he can not only bring great awareness to research cystic fibrosis, but just his inspiration will touch so many people in a positive way.
Thank you. That would be great. He, as long as he's healthy, he would love that. Thank you. He would love that. He loves to, he's done public speaking at so many events, again, to bring awareness to cystic fibrosis. And, you know, like I said, he has big plans. He wants to be a politician, and he's looking at colleges now, and we're hoping that, you know, he might actually even go away, because, you know, we don't want to hold him back, because he can do anything he wants to do. Just because he has cystic fibrosis, he can still go away. So he has big plans, and he's coming back to be mayor of Island Park. That's what he wants.
That's great. And Bonnie, I'm sure that JJ inspired you in the time that you were around him and the family for that month you did the tapings.
Yes, absolutely. Because I think why I connect to JJ and JJ's family is I like people that say, I can do that. And it really feels just right for me to work with people that are determined and just not so much reliant, but just possess that will to do it, you know, to just grab life, you know, by the horns, and never say I can't, and do what it is you want to do, and make it happen, and also be a real positive force. So that's what I'm attracted to. Those are the kinds of people that I like to be with and work with. So this is just a sheer pleasure, not work at all.
All right. That's great.